Throughout time, there have been men to whom justice has been more important than life itself. From these ranks come 4 men, prepared to fight valiantly on the side of justice wherever the need may be. Joined together in this cause, they are the 4 just men.
Mr. Manfred.
Yes?
You want it on the telephone, sir?
All right, thank you. Excuse me, my dear, I want it on the phone. Manfred speaking. Who? Lord Eastleigh. He's dying. Yes, I'll come at once.
Good friend. Thank God you've come.
What is it, Nigel?
Shame, Paul.
It's a Rembrandt, isn't it? I've seen this painting before.
I expect you have. In the Grant Gallery at Kew.
Oh, then this is a copy?
No, it's genuine. The one at Kew is the copy.
You mean this is the original?
Yes. It was stolen from the Grant Gallery and a copy put in its place.
And you bought it knowing it had been stolen?
Yes. I'm past pretending now. Forgive an old man's weakness. Age has such few pleasures.
Why have you asked me here?
We want you to return this picture to the Grant Gallery, where it belongs.
Without causing a scandal? That's rather a lot to ask of me in the circumstances.
We thought that you... well, being a member of the National Arts Committee...
would hush the matter up.
Good evening, Doctor.
Good evening, Paul.
I assume your father did not deal directly, but I must know how he made the purchase and from whom.
Paul, I'm afraid he's dead.
The job of putting it back into the Grant Gallery is going to be a bit, delicate.
I don't see why.
Don't you? The important thing is not to alert the thieves. This picture must be replaced without anybody knowing about it. Not even at the gallery. They may have somebody working on the inside.
But you'll have to hand it over to somebody.
I shan't hand it over to anyone. I shall put it back myself.
What are you suggesting, sir?
As a first step, I believe the correct procedure is to case the joint.
Mr. Manfred, this is a very great pleasure.
Thank you, Mr. Wadenow.
We don't have many distinguished visitors here, especially not members of the National Arts Committee. I lead rather an isolated existence.
Well, you live on the premises, then?
Yes, I work here, and As you might say, I play here, too. Let me show you around, sir.
Thank you. Oh, yes, that's very nice.
I've grown to love these paintings. One doesn't have to be an expert to do that.
No, but surely you could tell an original painting from a copy.
Well, not a skillful one, I must admit. Of course, the sort of copy that this lady will make here, she paints quite atrociously. Good afternoon, Miss Lee.
Oh, good afternoon, Mr. Waddy-love. I'm back, you see. Still trying.
And now then, here's the Rembrandt that we were speaking of. Magnificent, isn't it? One of the very best things he ever did. There are men would give their souls for that painting. We had it restored not long ago. One would never know, would one?
No, one wouldn't. Who did the restoration?
Oh, Bowes of Bond Street, of course. They're the best people in the country.
Oh, I must remember that name. I have a picture that should be restored.
Oh, yes, you couldn't do better than Bowes.
You have a heavy responsibility, all these treasures, a great temptation to a burglar.
Let me assure you, sir, we employ every known security measure.
Oh, do you?
It would be virtually impossible for anybody to break in here.
Would it?
Perhaps you'd care to see some of the ingenious precautions that we have.
Well, nothing would delight me more if you have the time.
Of course.
Thank you. Thanks to the cooperation of the curator, Mr. Waddy-love, I know exactly how to burgle the gallery. I shall operate from here. It's near the road, and these bushes will give me cover. The ground floor windows are barred, so I shall climb up here and through these windows. They open onto a landing.
What about burglar alarms?
Oh, there's a cunningly concealed one about halfway up. Mr. Waddy-love showed me how it operates.
When are you going to do it?
Tonight. There's only one guard on duty.
Shouldn't somebody keep watch? The guard might change his routine.
Yeah, maybe. I'll take Jock with me.
Couldn't I come?
It's a risky job, you know.
Well, it's much more of a risk for you. A member of Parliament, breaking and entering. Good heavens. And, after all, it was my father who caused all this. Unless, of course, you think I'd make a mess of things.
No. I didn't mean that at all.
Then, you have an accomplice.
Very well. Let's drink to celebrate our entry into crime. "7 minutes before the guard comes round again. Here's where I wish I were 10 years younger.
Is that another alarm you switched off?
Yes, touch any of the pictures while it's on and all hell breaks loose. You know, we must be the first burglars in the history of crime to snatch something worth 100 in exchange for something worth 100,000.
Two and a half minutes left.
I think we should take up this sort of thing seriously. We might make a fortune at it. Doing it the right way round, I mean. Or do I mean the wrong way round?
Well, whichever way you mean, you can count me out. I'm just glad the job's over and done with.
But it isn't, you know.
Surely, now that the original is returned.
That's just the first step.
How do you mean?
Well, I don't want to be pompous. Here, let me freshen that up for you.
Oh, thanks.
I think great paintings belong to the world. They have to be protected from thieves and swindlers. How much do you think that Rembrandt was worth?
Oh, £50,000?
I think you could double that figure. Whoever stole that Rembrandt and sold it to your father won't stop there. They've been successful once, so why not again? Indeed, we don't know that it is only once.
I can assure you this was the only picture my father got that way.
I didn't mean your father. I've known many men like him, men of honor, who've given way to temptation. The urge to possess is extraordinarily strong.
What can you do about it?
You're holding an auction soon, aren't you?
Yes, porcelain and silver, mostly. My father wasn't too provident. The death duties on the estate are bound to be pretty heavy.
I want you to put this copy of the Rembrandt in the sale, too.
Well, why? I thought of keeping it as a souvenir.
The catalogue will list it as a copy of the Rembrandt self-portrait. The thieves will think that you're putting in the original picture they sold your father.
Ah, and that I don't know the difference.
Exactly. All we have to do is to watch for anybody bidding over the odds. When the price begins to rise, we'll clear the decks for action.
And now lot 685.
Showing here, sir.
An excellent example from the first Wedgwood factory at Etruria.
110.
110.
How do you do, Mr. Wadilove?
Oh, Mr. Manfred, this is an unexpected pleasure.
I see that there's a copy of the Rembrandt self-portrait listed for sale.
Yes, I'm going to make a bid for it.
And now we come to lot 686. This is an exceptionally fine copy of the Rembrandt self-portrait in the Grant Gallery. Now, what am I bid, gentlemen? Do I hear 60 guineas?
75.
75.
80.
90.
95.
100. 100. Any advance on 100? Are we stopping at 100 guineas?
110.
120.
125.
150.
150 I am bid.
175.
200. Ah, you didn't know what a fine copy this was. There are people who would prefer this to the original. Almost. Any advance on 200?
225.
225. Any advance on 225? 250. 250. 250 I am bid. Is there any advance on 250? Going at 250. Going.
300.
300 from the gentleman at the back. 300 guineas. Any advance on 300? Going at 300. Going. Gone. You at the back, sir. Knocked down to you at 300 guineas. Will you let the clerk have your name and address, please?
Certainly. What on earth suddenly made you want to buy it? Well, to find out how far the final bidding would go, I had to make the last offer.
I feel as though I ought to buy it back from you.
You can have it as a gift, when all this business is over, of course. Oh, excuse me. Mr. Wadilove, may I ask you a question? Why were you so anxious to bid for that copy of the Rembrandt?
You have no right to ask me that.
No, please, I'm curious. I mean, after all, you can look at the original every day of your life if you wish.
Yes, that's the point. I'm not a rich man, Mr. Manfred. I have few possessions. For 15 years, I've looked at that picture and coveted it. Today, I thought I'd satisfy that covetousness with a copy. That's all.
Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry I had to outbid you. Why did you want it?
I'm afraid it'll sound very foolish to you.
Oh, no, please.
I've tried to copy that self-portrait Oh, so many times. I've always failed. Then last week I said, stop deceiving yourself. Admit you've no ability.
And then you read that a copy was going to be auctioned today.
Yes. I drew all my money out of my savings account to buy it.
And passed the copy off as your painting.
Yes. So you see, in a way, I'm grateful to you. Goodbye.
Do you think either of those two?
No, but I had to make sure. I'm more interested in that scruffy-looking character who bid up to 250. Why are you following me?
I'm still interested in that picture.
You or the man who hired you?
Both of us. Look, let me check. I reckon I could get you 500 for it.
I'm not interested. Good day. They're rising to the bait.
Any idea who they are?
No, but I shall know soon. You drive, Paul. I'll tell you why later.
Taxi! Sorry, Gov. Just knocking off for a cup of tea.
Look, you can buy yourself a bucketful when you've done this job. Round that corner, quick, there's a car. I want you to follow.
Okay, hop in.
Wait for me.
Hold it, Governor. What about my cup of tea?
Mr. Bowles?
Yes.
You want this picture. Why?
I want it.
You had a bidder at the auction. You've had me followed over half London. Your agent offered me £500 for this, a copy. Perhaps you recognize it.
Yes. Yes, indeed. My son painted it.
Your son?
Yes, he's a gifted artist. He might have been a great one, but...
When did he paint it?
Oh, some time ago.
For what purpose?
For his own amusement, an outlet for his artistic instincts, nothing more.
If I had told you that this had been used for criminal purposes, substituted for the original, what would you say?
I shouldn't believe it. Richard's a weak boy in many ways, but he never...
I should like to talk to him alone, if I may.
Who are you?
You don't know me, but you do know this.
What are you talking about?
You painted it when the original was brought here for restoration. When the job was done, this copy, your copy, was returned to the Grant Gallery and has been hanging there ever since.
You're from the police?
Crock me with that, and the police will be after you. You'll ruin your business, yourself, and your father. Tell me the name of the man who got you to make that copy.
If I tell you, you'll do what you can for me.
I promise that.
Richard!
Here, you take it.
Victoria, please.
Sorry, Mrs. I'm just knocking off for a cup of tea.
Good evening, sir.
Hello, Jock. Oh, yes, by all means. Well, at least there's a moral to be drawn from the day's work.
And what is that?
Never steal a taxi. They're too blasted hard to return.
I'll remember that.
And Jock, for the next few nights, I shall be sleeping days. If I make myself clear.
Starting tonight.
Yes, if the thief realizes he has the copy, he'll be in a hurry to return it and take the original instead. I've arranged things with the gallery, and you'll have to help me too, Jock.
Shall I get the car round, or...
Or what?
Or would you prefer me to steal another taxi for you?
Good evening. Yes, Paul, it's me.
How did you...
Still trying to save the good name of the Eastleys? Or is it something more criminal this time?
You needn't tell anyone.
What makes an old family like yours go rotten?
You've got to help me.
You've used me once before. I don't like being used. This is a matter for the police.
And, if you go to the police, what proof have you got?
Your accomplice, Bowles, has confessed.
Manfred. Manfred! Manfred? Manfred?
Well done, Jock. Best flying tackle I've seen this season. I'll be right down.